Hello, and welcome back to the Journey with Janey podcast. I am your host, Jane Anderson, and I am here to talk all things grief and grieving and mindset and how it can help you take those small, simple steps on your road to rediscovery and finding the true you. So today, I'm sat back inside. So windy outside today. I don't think you would be able to hear me. So here we are. I'm back at the office desk, and so I wasn't really sure what to talk about today, but my question to pose for you today is, did you have a happy school life? Now, I've no idea where this really came from, other than I started reflecting on my journey as a child. I think we touched on it a little bit in the last episode, and it got me thinking about my time at school. I started school in the local village where my mum had attended school there, so that was a memory sparked, and probably a little bit of honouring mum, the fact that had popped up in my head. So first school was fine, and then we moved to a bigger school, which is a huge step for us, and that was a tough sort of time, making new friends and moving on, new friendship groups, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's not why I'm talking about it. When I moved into high school, life was tough. Obviously you have the typical female things that happen when you become a teenager, and emotions are sky high, and the friendship dynamics changed for me when I was at high school. And there was times where I think the only way I can describe it is I was pushed out of the friendship group, and I had to become happy in my own little world. Now, I hadn't really thought much about this until the school days was flagged for me. And I think I have to be actually grateful to my friends at the time for showing me that I was happy in my own little world, in my own little space, in my own bubble, I suppose. And having the, I wouldn't say it was confidence at the time, but being okay with it. And this is something that we talk about and delve into in Dynamite Lifestyle, in the mentorship program that I'm on. And it's things that I can talk to you about in greater depth if we if you want to sort of come along on the journey with Janey. And that is one thing we are taught, to stay in our own lane. Do us. Be the person we want to be and live the life we want to live. Now, I'm not saying that's easy when you're grieving, and you may still just be sat there thinking, well, this woman's talking, about moving on and doing this and staying in our own lane and sticking to our own knitting. And how does that help me? And I think for me, it's understanding that we are the only people we can control, and our mind is a powerful tool. And grief at times makes us feel, I definitely went through this, maybe not so much when Mum died, but definitely when Jonathan died. Grief makes us very angry, or it did me. Everybody's different. Like I've said in the past, grief is unique to us all, and there are no rules. You may not be feeling angry. You may just be wanting your soulmate back. And I think that is where I was going with the friendship group thing. being pushed out of the friendship group, and actually the realisation that I didn't actually need to be part of the friendship group. So I don't know whether that makes sense in relation to what I'm saying. So the kind of actually the person that you are grieving, yes, you are grieving and you may not want to get out of bed in the morning, but would that person want you to be lying in bed thinking about them? Or would they want you to be taking those simple little steps to actually be the person you could be? And there's only you can answer that question. So I think what I'm trying to say is we do have to stick to our own knitting, which is a Bob Proctor quote, who was my mentor's mentor. So it's a little reminder to ourselves that actually we do need to stick to our own knitting. And that certainly was a steep learning curve for me, to understand that I was the only person I could control. I couldn't control anything that was going on around me, anything outside, environment, people. It was only me I could control. So once I understood that, and I could learn to respond to people rather than react by getting very angry, and I became very calm as well on the inside. So that certainly helped me through the tough times. And like I say, that it's fine. We all have different ways of coping. We all have different coping mechanisms. But understanding how your mind works, and the simple tools that you can put in place to actually help progress your journey are definitely key. And me joining mentorship was the reason, I'm sure I've said it before, the reason why I'm sat in front of you today. So maybe we do need that little bit of security and that little bit of feeling that actually we are worthy, we are enough. And if you needed to hear that today, just know that you are worthy and you are enough. And you can get out of bed and make that cup of coffee for yourself. And you can go out and go shopping. There's no time scale on anything. If you want to go shopping the day after it's all happened, then you go and do the shopping. If you want to go out and see friends and they don't think it's right, go out and have a cuppa somewhere yourself. If you need somebody to talk to, ring somebody. I'm sure there is, I definitely had a long list of people who said, well, if there's anything I can do. So I have actually called on them. I know we're sort of like 2 or 3 years down the well, we'll be coming up to 3 years this time. And I still ring people and say, you said if there's anything I can do. Do you fancy going for a cuppa? I feel up for a cuppa today. So, and just talk to different people. We all have our cohort that have helped us on the journey, and they are amazing. And, they are all there to support us as and when. But we do need to be a little bit, can't even think of the word. Doesn't matter. We all need to kind of, I want to say give ourselves a shake, but that's not the way, that's not the right word. And it's certainly not what I want you to do. We all need to think about the person we want to be and the bubble that we want to live in. And, taking the small steps to be that person is definitely what has worked for me. But what has worked for me may not work for you. All I'm trying to do is share with you my journey, so that you may just pick up little snippets along the way of things that might help you. Take time to actually sit and reflect about where you've come from and think about where you're going. For me, sitting down today and taking time to reflect on my childhood and the realisation that actually I realised at a very early age that I was happy being my own person. And then marriage and family, and I think as a woman, I don't know, can't speak for the men out there. Happy to take comments if there's any men listening to this. The whole marriage and raising children, you kind of lose yourself, if that's the only way I can describe it. And I think this past 2 years, while I've been on this journey, and the reflection I've had today is the realisation that I'm actually finding the person I've always been, but a newer version. So I hope that's kind of made sense. I know I've actually babbled quite a lot today, and we will go more into detail about the scientific process of the mind, because I seem to get waylaid talking about totally different things once I get on talking to you all. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget to comment, and if there's anything you want me to talk about or share, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you all for joining me on the Journey with Janey podcast. Always remember, there is something within you that knows no limits. It's time to believe in you. Click the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I love reading your reviews and comments, so right away. So if you're ready to take those small steps to transform your true self, let's do life together.